Welcome to Clawson City Council meeting for Tuesday, February 7th. This meeting is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Dear Father, thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders your people need. Bless our men in uniform, who we are grateful to for our safety and the services they offer. Renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build our community. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Loops.
Here.
Councilmember Ayers.
Here.
Councilmember Horton. Councilmember Albrecht.
Here.
Councilmember Woolley.
Here. The first item on the agenda, as always, is the consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight are approving the minutes from our last council meeting, January 17th, our special city council meeting, January 24th, our workshop, January 31st, accepting the resignation of Sharon Aubrey from the DDA, a request by Clawson Youth Assistants to hold their 8th annual Easter egg hunt on April 8th, 10 a.m. at Clawson City Park. Another request by Youth Assistants to hold Youth Recognition Awards at Hunter Community on May 3rd at 7 p.m. And Clawson Youth Assistants' 9th annual Trick-or-Treat Trail at Clawson City Park on October 29th from 6 to 7:30. So, I had expected a few appointments on the agenda, but it looks like it might be on the next agenda.
By design, it might be on the next agenda.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda be approved as listed.
For
Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ayers.
yes.
Councilmember Albrecht.
Yes.
Councilmember Woolley.
Yes.
And Mayor Loops.
Yes. The next item is presentation of our Clawson Police Service Awards, and I would invite our police chief up for the awards. We have a number of awards and a number of commendations. The Officer of the Year, Department Unit Citations, and other department commendations.
Madam Mayor, members of council, it's my pleasure to be here tonight before you to recognize several of our officers for their great work throughout the year. The Police Department Awards Board met again this year to discuss actions of officers. In our department, any officer can recommend a fellow officer or a citizen for their actions throughout the year. And what happens is they nominate that individual. That nomination goes to an awards board, and then the awards board looks over the qualifications for different awards and see what, if any, award that person should be presented. Our awards board is, we try to get a sampling of the department. It's made up of myself, a member of our command unit, which is Lieutenant Sarvello, and a member of our patrol unit, which is Officer Adam Niemerkaiser. So tonight we'd like to recognize 15 different officers of the Clawson Police Department who are recommended by their peers to receive 20 different awards throughout the year. So the first one, I'd like to have Detective Mills step forward. Officer Mills has been selected as the Officer of the Year in 2016 this year. Dale is a great guy, and he works very hard. The Officer of the Year certificate is it's a certificate as well as a gold bar for him to display on his uniform when he does wear a uniform, like on the 4th of July. It's based on we try to not make it based on a single act, but actions throughout the year. And the way we look at it is we want our Officer of the Year to be a person that you would like other officers in your department to be. You know, we'd like other officers to emulate the behavior. And this year, Detective Mills was selected. Detective Mills has been assigned to our Detective Bureau since May of 2013. As the patrol detective, he is also our school officer and handling juvenile cases and issues dealing with the schools. Detective Mills is professional and thorough in his investigation. He is always available when needed, on duty and off duty. Because of his experience as a detective and as an evidence technician, he is always mentoring fellow officers, younger and older. He's almost acting as in a supervisory position. Detective Mills has an excellent working relationship with his fellow officers. He keeps them informed of ongoing cases, providing them with be-on-the-lookout sheets, with extra patrol requests, and basically anytime he sees something that needs a little extra attention, he puts the word out to the guys to keep an eye out for it. He also communicates well with the citizens of the community and the attorneys through the courts, the court personnel, the prosecutors, everybody basically that he comes into contact with, even the lockup personnel. Detective Mills' actions help to make the Clawson Department an efficient operation. This award is being presented to Detective Mills tonight, and it's my pleasure to introduce the Officer of the Year of 2016 to Detective Mills. Congratulations.
No, we have a lot of awards to get through. I just say thank you very much for this honor.
Thank you. Great job. Oh, picture.
Come on, there we go.
Good job.
Thank you.
The next award is going to be the first time we've issued this award. It's called a Department Unit Citation. Our general order when we specify what this particular award is, first off, it's signified with a certificate and a white bar with 6 black lines in it. A Department Unit Citation is awarded to members of the same shift or specialized unit. This year, the Department Unit Citation is being awarded to several members of our afternoon shift, along with a member of our Detective Bureau, for the outstanding performance of a difficult task involving personal risk to the officer's safety. Because of the members of the afternoon shift's actions and our Detective Bureau member, a serious crime was prevented and the perpetrators were apprehended. At this time, I'd like Detective Lieutenant Scott Sarvello. Let's see who else. Sergeant Jody Horn. Officer Robert Shriver. Officer Jake Shear. And it looks like we don't have it's Officer Nima Kaiser. Anyhow, these officers are being recognized for an incident that happened on Sunday, September 18th in 2016. On that date, Clawson officers were dispatched to the 1400 block of North Custer on a larceny from a building report. The resident reported that he had just discovered 2 semi-automatic rifles with their cases were missing from his garage. The investigation revealed that the complainant's daughter had some people over, some friends over that were suspected in the incident. If you recall, I believe it made it in the news and everything. It was a really pretty involved incident. The investigation revealed that on September 15th, beforehand, about midnight, 3 individuals broke into a garage in the 1400 block of North Custer without the permission of the owner. One of the suspects, who's a juvenile, stole a gun case containing 2 semi-automatic rifles. All 3 suspects left the area in a vehicle with the stolen property. On Sunday, September 18th, when we got the call on it, all of the suspects were located and taken into custody. One of the suspects was located in the possession of the 2 rifles. After the suspects were located and arrested, they made statements and when they were interviewed. It appeared that none of them knew exactly what they were going to do with the gun. However, one of the individuals also had ammunition for the gun. It caused quite a buzz, and we didn't know what they were going to do. In this day and age, you never know what's going to happen with individuals that have the semi-automatic assault weapons. The stolen firearms recovered. One of the suspects also had cocaine in his possession when arrested. Due to the quick actions of these investigating officers, with the assistance of Detective Sarbello, who had a working knowledge of who these kids were, it was quite a surprise on their face when they were walking out of the front door with the stolen weapons in their hands. They were all located, and all 3 suspects were taken into custody and eventually charged, preventing a possible future tragedy. One was charged with possession of a stolen firearm. One was charged with possession. Another one was charged with possession of a stolen firearm, larceny of a building, and possession of cocaine. This award is being issued to these officers because of their great actions that night, and we're all proud that they're members of our department. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It is, and I will echo our chief's words. It's a great job to keep our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Officer Rands, I'm supposed to be here. The next award is a department citation, which is signified with a certificate and a white-blue bar. A department citation is awarded to an officer who has made outstanding contributions to law enforcement through the success of either through difficult police programs, projects, or situations, such contributions being made at a high degree of professional excellence. This year, Officer Jason Rands from our day shift is receiving the department citation. The citation is being issued because of his actions on Monday, October 10th. At approximately 11:20 in the morning, at that time, Troy Dispatch reported an armed robbery, bank robbery actually, from a TCF bank that was located on Coolidge Road in the city of Troy. The suspect robbed the bank after implying that he had a gun and fled the area with the stolen money. Troy Dispatch broadcast a suspect and partial vehicle description. At approximately 11:40 in the morning, Officer Rands located the vehicle parked on the lot to the east side of our Taco Bell on Crooks Road. The vehicle was backed into a parking space to observe Crooks Road. Officer Rands, without delay, observed that vehicle, moved around to the back of the vehicle with his gun drawn, and at that time, a Troy officer came as his backup. Officer Rands got him out of the car. The individual made statements, incriminating statements, saying that he was the one that committed the crime. The suspect had previously robbed the same TCF bank twice, as well as another. So thanks to the efforts of Officer Rands and all others involved, a serial bank robber and a violent criminal was taken off the street. So I'd just like to state I'm proud of Officer Rands for what he did. So.
We are too. Thank you.
The next award is we're trying to get this one into a category. It's an award from another agency. We do that in a time where it's not necessarily the actions or something that happens in town, or if another agency recognizes the efforts of an individual. We recognize them for an award from another agency. At this time, I'd like to have Officer Scott Vierick come forward.
She'll cry if I
You
leave
have
her behind.
good company with you.
Yes.
The award from another agency is signified with a gold blue bar that will be displayed on his Officer Vierik's uniform. This award is being issued to Officer Vierik because in 2016, Officer Scott Vierik was recognized by MAD, Mothers Against Driving, for his work during the year of 2015. Officer Vierik was awarded a Recognition of Excellence award. This is an award for an individual for work in the area of prevention or innovation to reduce impaired driving. This might include new or significant approaches to reducing impaired driving or going above and beyond the normal bounds of duty to address impaired driving issues. In 2015, Officer Scott Vierik arrested 46 persons for OWI. He also attended rigorous training to become our second drug recognition expert. For his efforts, Officer Vierik received the Salute Award from MAD. Fist bump. This award is a pin for making 25 to 50 arrests. But as I sat there listening to the awards that these other officers are making, a lot of these guys are getting this award, and they're in special details doing this stuff. Scott's out handling his daily calls and is still doing this. And that's the most drunk drivers anybody has had in our department. So it's my honor and privilege to award Officer Vierik with this medal and certificate. Good job. Thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you. And do you work the afternoon shift then? Is that what happens?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Okay.
The other awards that we have is our department commendations, and some of the same participants are going to be receiving those for the work that they did. Department commendation is a signed certificate. It is awarded to a member of the department for performing an efficient and a valuable service to the department, either an outstanding performance of general duties over an extended period of time or for a specific task. In 2016, department commendations have been awarded to 7 of our officers for the actions during the year. The first looks like, I've got Officer Paul Dar, who couldn't make it tonight. He's got an award for his son. He's getting an award in school. Officer Steve Haley. Officer Robert Schreiber. Officer Adam Niemerkaiser. And Detective Lieutenant Scott Sorbello. Okay, this commendation is being awarded to these 2 officers and the other 3 for actions on Sunday, July 24th, 2016. At approximately 10:37 p.m., Clausen officers were dispatched to a report of a felonious assault that had occurred in the 200 block of Leroy. Upon arrival and investigation, it was determined that the suspect was a neighbor and had returned to his home, so he was no longer right there at the present scene when the officers first got there. Investigation revealed that at approximately 10:30, a 19-year-old resident from Leroy was on her front porch with her 20-year-old boyfriend just talking. A 31-year-old neighbor suspect approached the residence carrying a handgun in his hand, waving it around. The suspect was highly intoxicated. And the victims questioned the suspect about the handgun. The suspect told them not to worry about it, and he proceeded to drop a magazine out of the handgun, cleared the gun, and then put it up to his head and started pulling the trigger. The suspect then reloaded the handgun, sat on the lap of the boyfriend on the porch, and then he pulled the magazine out, leaving one in the chamber, still loaded. The boyfriend was very nervous about this for obvious reasons. The suspect then pointed at the boyfriend again, and the victim told the guy that the gun was still loaded, and he says, "That's all right, I have good trigger control." The suspect then pointed the handgun at the boyfriend, and then the parents arrived home, and the guy left. So the officers responded and started investigating. They determined that the suspect was across the street. They, again, Lieutenant Sarvello was with the guys on the afternoon shift when this was going on. They determined that an assault had occurred. They located and arrested the suspect without incident at his residence. He was a CPL holder, but he was in possession of the firearm and acting dangerously when he was a .15 blood alcohol level. Due to the quick actions and the selflessness of the officers, they averted what could have been a very bad tragedy with this individual, taking him, confiscating the gun, and then eventually charging him with felonious assault. It's my pleasure to award these officers with commendations for their brave actions on that day.
And we also thank you, and we want you to keep up the good work.
You get two bucks.
Thank you.
The next department commendation, which again is signified with a certificate, is for recognizing Officer Jake Shear and Detective Dale Mills. Could I get you guys to come forward? On July 25th, 2016, Officer Jake Shear was on patrol in the city of Clawson when he observed a vehicle exit the Super 8 parking lot, turning eastbound onto Maple. The vehicle accelerated rapidly to a speed of approximately 60 miles an hour. Officer Shear stopped the vehicle in the area of Maple and Maine to make contact with the driver. The vehicle was a rental vehicle from Florida, and Officer Shear made contact with 4 occupants. He could smell the odor of marijuana coming from the inside of the vehicle. Officer Shear requested a Troy canine officer who responded and alerted to the vehicle for drugs. A search of the occupants and the vehicle uncovered stacks of gift cards totaling more than 50, with more than $8,000 in value. All 4 suspects had extensive criminal histories for drugs, theft, and fraudulent activities. A detective from one of our local departments down in Royal Oak is on a federal financial crimes task force. They called him, and he came in and assisted them in the investigation. The suspects were arrested and taken into custody for their fraudulent activity. Detective Mills conducted extensive follow-up investigation of the case and determined that the suspects had fraudulently removed the credit card numbers from the front of the card's face with a writer and coated the card strip on the back of the card to match the fraudulent imprints. The suspects were eventually released from custody for our local case. However, the investigation is going much further into a federal case because it was going across state lines and involved something that would have been a more appropriate charge. But due to the quick alert actions of Officer Shear and the extensive follow-up by Detective Mills, we were able to get, we confiscated $10,000 worth of fraudulent credit cards with their equipment, and we've turned the investigation over to the feds. So I just want to commend them for their actions. They did a great job being alert and being thorough in their investigation. So, thank you.
It is the degree of safety astounds me. It's ranging from white-collar crime or your credit cards to possible physical body harm. So you do it all. In my world, we would call you armed social workers because you do greet people with respect and maintain composure while going about your work. So thank you very much.
And Madam Mayor, I want to say too, the officers here, that things may sound simple, but it's the active officer that's out there making stops that find the bigger things. And that's what you're kind of seeing here is these are, good officers that are out there making it happen every day, and they step into this stuff, so, and they act accordingly after it, so.
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I told you there was going to be some repeats here, so. The next one is a department commendation, again, from a certificate. It's Officer Scott Vierick. We have Officer Robert Schreiber, Officer Jake Shear, and Detective Dale Mills. This commendation stems from September 5th, an incident September 5th, 2016. At approximately 10:09 p.m., Officer Vierick was on patrol in the city of Clawson when he observed a vehicle traveling eastbound on 14 Mile Road near Rochester Road. The vehicle was driving erratically, traveling left to center and weaving in its lane. Officer Vierick observed that the driver of the vehicle was distracted while talking on his cell phone. Go figure. The vehicle was stopped in the area of 14 and Campbell. Officer Vierick made contact with the driver and his two passengers. There was an odor of marijuana coming from the interior of the car. Officers Schreiber and Shear soon arrived to assist Officer Vierick in the investigation. Troy Canine again was summoned, and they responded, and the dog hit on the car, and we found revealed marijuana and again several stolen credit cards that were hidden inside the vehicle. The suspects were placed under arrest for warrants and being in possession of fraudulent stolen credit cards. In all, there were 26 fraudulent and coded credit cards and over $1,000 in illegally obtained cash inside the vehicle. Detective Mills conducted an extensive follow-up investigation in the case. His investigation positively identified the suspects using the fraudulent credit cards to make purchases. There were 36 fraudulent charges made on the confiscated credit cards. All three suspects were charged with multiple counts of fraud with the illegal use of the credit cards. It's my pleasure to recognize the efforts of these officers and just making it happen out there and catching these bad guys that are out there driving through the city and committing fraud. So, thanks.
Thank you. And I am happy to hear that people are stopped for being on their cell phone. I think we should all patent a sign that says, "Get off your cell phone," but that would be distracting too, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't notice it. Yeah.
They're too busy on their cell phone to read the signs.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott? This is my last commendation for the night. Again, Officer Scott Vierick. This is stemming from actions of Officer Vierick on December 15th of 2016. At that time, Officer Vierick was on patrol in the city of Clawson when he heard a be on the lookout for a silver Pontiac occupied by two persons who were suspected in stealing a cell phone from a person at the Walmart in Troy at Maple and Coolidge. The suspects had stolen a cell phone and assaulted the victim as they fled the scene. The call was originally believed to be a strong-arm robbery. However, it was actually a larceny and an assault. The original dispatch, officers that heard it, even with Officer Vierick, it contained very much information. But Officer Vierick, in the sense that he had, set himself up to try to see if he can see the bad guys coming by. And sure enough, he set himself in a position to detect their direction of travel. Officer Vierick's attentiveness led to the arrest of the two suspects within minutes of the crime. The suspects were charged with larceny of a building, assault and battery, driving while license suspended, and possession of marijuana. It's my pleasure to recognize Officer Vierick for his actions on this situation. Congratulations, Scott. That's all I have tonight, and thank you very much for giving us an audience to recognize our officers. All of our guys, we got a great bunch here. They all do a great job. Hopefully, we can get them all recognized as they're doing these things, but they do a lot of things day in and day out that don't receive the recognition, and this is a good way to, at least give them a formal attaboy. So.
And I think it's up to us to give them a standing ovation because we appreciate what you do. So thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Bad guys are going to start going around instead of through.
Perfect.
Often said we got the best. Them guys prove it right there.
Thank you. All right, so back to business. The next item is an introduction and first reading of an ordinance to repeal and replace Ordinance 590, adopted in 1996, relating to a gas franchise of the Clausen Code of Ordinances, granting consumers energy the right, power, and authority to lay, maintain, and operate gas mains, pipes, and services along our streets. So I'm going to, am I deferring to Mr. Pollack for explanation?
No, I
Mr.
can.
Kingsup.
I can. We're now on the mundane. This ordinance, or previous one, was adopted, and the Consumers Franchise Ordinance goes for 20 years, and we were at the 20-year tail end. We're always corresponding with their council in Jackson. You'll recall that I made some changes in the ordinance, and that took a period of time, and so finally it was adopted and passed. A couple of weeks after that, I got a call from consumers saying, well, our original franchise expired at the time that we adopted the ordinance changes and so forth, so we need to readopt it. And I said, okay, we can just do a resolution readoption. Well, no, we have to have it published again. And I said, I won't tell you what I said, but suffice to say that we have represented the same ordinance that was published. So we'll go on a first publication. Next meeting, it will be a second publication, and then they have 30 days to accept it. Presumably, they'll accept it timely, so we can get onward and get rid of the business. So that's the background.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, motion?
Your Honor, I move the proposed ordinance to repeal and replace ordinance number 590, adopted December 19th, 1996, Appendix A, gas franchise of the Clausen Code of Ordinances, granting Consumers Energy Company, its successors, and assigns the right, power, and authority to lay, maintain, and operate gas mains, pipes, and services on, along, across, and under the highways, streets, alleys, bridges, waterways, and other public places, and to do a local gas business in the city of Clausen, Oakland County, Michigan, for a period of 20 years, be entered into first reading.
Support that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Woolley?
Yes.
Mayor Loops?
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich?
Yes.
The next item is a request for amendments to our 16-17 year budget. The amendments reflect the price of our website upgrade, new metal rooftops on the gazebo and memorial, the furnace system at the Historical Museum, some for sidewalks, is that right? And the largest fund, the biggest amendment in other funds is the Water and Sewer Fund, where we had a large increase in our budgeted depreciation of $100,000 because our auditor added much of our sewer work to assets. So that sounds like that money moved account to account under a different line item.
Yeah, our depreciation doesn't impact cash, but it does impact retained earnings. And luckily, we have a lot of assets in the ground, and he shifted to assets, which increases our depreciation on an annual basis. Since the water and sewer is a enterprise fund, it recognizes depreciation. So we did have an increase in depreciation.
So the total amount is $82,460, which will leave a little over $300,000 in our capital reserve fund.
Madam Mayor, I move the amendments to the 2016-2017 fiscal year budget be approved as listed.
Support.
Any comments or questions? You know, as the economy has continued to improve since our recession in 2008, 2009, 2010, we still look at our budget carefully to not expend any additional monies and continue to save it for emergencies. Roll call, please.
Mayor Lutz,
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich,
Yes.
and Councilmember Woolley.
Yes.
We receive community block grant monies every year, about $30,000. We are now to the point where we have a public hearing to reprogram our funds from last year. So looking at reprogramming is required in order for the city to use funds for the installation of the sidewalk domes on public property instead of senior transportation drivers' wages and large print books for the library as previously requested. We're looking at reprogramming the funds of $3,000 from the senior drivers' wages and $3,000 for the large print books to reprogram that money back into sidewalks. So public hearing regarding community block grant monies is now open. Public hearing is closed.
Madam Mayor, I move the resolution to reprogram the 2016 Community Development Block Grant funds from activity account 731712, senior driver's wages, in the amount of $3,000, and from the activity account 730535, it's a large print books, in the amount of $3,000 for the total amount of $6,000 to be reprogrammed to activity account number 172-170-731-619, removal of architectural barriers, installation of truncated domes be approved and be to authorize the mayor to sign the subsequent agreement.
Support.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yeah.
Councilmember Olbrich,
Yes.
Councilmember Woolley,
Yes.
Mayor Lutz.
Yes. We, item 11 will not be discussed. A request by the American Cancer Society for a Relay for Life events that they are requesting to place on hold and will return to and will arrive to Clawson City Council with their request at another time. The next request is from the Clawson Farmers Market to use the city park for the 2017 Clawson Farmers Market season. Our season this year begins May 21st and runs weekly through September 24th. It's on Sundays from 9 to 1. New this year, the market is requesting sponsorships for music and themed events, whether it's a petting zoo or alpacas or other events and activities at the market. You can find more information at the Clausen Farmers Market Facebook page, or you are welcome to call the chamber or myself, as we co-organize the market every year. But 2017 looks to be an exciting year. May 21st is our Flower Day. And we're ready to welcome our farmers back with fresh fruits and vegetables and all of our vendors.
Before we do anything with that, do we need to make a motion to amend the agenda to remove line item 11?
We could.
Do we need to do that?
Technically, you should.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I move that we remove item 11 from the agenda.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Olbrich?
Yes.
Councilmember Woolley?
Yes.
Mayor Lubes?
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I move the request by the Clausen Farmers Market to use the Clausen City Park for the 2017 Clausen Farmers Market season be approved.
Support.
I do want to add the comments prior to that regarding the market report excluding Labor Day. That was from last year. This year we move forward with weekly, May 21 through September 24th. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Woolley?
Yes.
Mayor Lubes?
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich?
Yes.
And next item references our employee volunteer picnic at Clausen City Park. It is an honor for council to host the employee volunteer picnic. Historically, it's generally the first Wednesday at 5:30 at Clausen City Park. Arrival time 5:30, dinner at 6. Raffle items donated by area businesses follow the dinner. And I did ask to have June 7th, 5:30 put on the agenda. Looks like there was some conversation that I discovered when reading the forwarded minutes on Friday, that at a recent staff meeting, a few department heads stated that a Thursday would work better for staffing. So looking at any conversation, I know historically Thursdays haven't been good for some council members. Wednesday appears to be the better day of the week for council to prepare for a thank you picnic.
I don't see what's wrong with the 7th. You know, a Wednesday, I mean, we've had it for years and years.
We can work around the issue. The library, I think, Jenny, did we close early last year so you could attend? Which I think we can do with the library board's blessing again this year, so. Okay.
Can we close early on that day and then just extend the hours on one of our earlier days, or does that not work?
I think we post early enough that patrons are aware, and that was discussion, and Mike asked, I said, well, if they want to discuss it, fine, but again, I mean, if Wednesday works better, our library is very adaptable. So.
It's a good library.
Well, in that case, Madam Mayor, I move that the request to host employee volunteer picnic at the Clausen City Park on Wednesday, June 7th, 2017 at 5 o'clock, arrive at 5:30, be approved. Dinner
But
at 6.
Yes, because we set up ahead of time, so arrive at 5:30 with dinner at 6 and raffles afterwards.
Unless they'd like to come at 5 and help out set up.
Good idea. Thank you. Did you say support? Roll call, please.
Mayor Lubes,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich,
Yes.
Councilmember Woolley.
Yes.
The next item looks at the bills to be paid in the next 2 weeks.
Madam Mayor, pay the bills.
Support.
Any comments on the bills?
Mark, I think I did ask you.
Did you email me?
Yep. Yeah, a couple days ago.
I'll check. I'm sorry, I don't recall, but I will look and report back at the next meeting if that works. Do you recall what they were off?
To do with the skate park.
Oh, that's right, on the gates, yeah. I'll get the detail and report back to you.
Thank you.
Next meeting.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich,
Yes.
Councilmember Woolley,
Yes.
Mayor Lubes.
Yes. The city attorney's report.
Two things. Number one, we met Monday in ordinances. So there'll be probably two meetings on the ordinances. One will be the repealer, and one will be the one on the appointment policy, because that will take more discussion. So the other thing is we're doing revisions on stalking and menacing. We're trying to update those ordinances to be more contemporary. The language was really from 1978, maybe some modified amendments after that. And I think based on, background information we get from the police, I think we could recraft the language in that. So that the prosecutors are going to do that right now on that. The other thing is a social media policy. I know the police department has a social media policy in place. There's not one for the rest of the staff or in the city. There is a case out of the Fourth Circuit in Virginia that was against St. Petersburg and held their social media policy as being unconstitutional. That language will give us some guidance in beginning to craft one for your consideration.
Give me an idea of what a social media policy is.
Social media,
What do we have now? For the
social
police
media
department.
limitations on what can be expressed or not expressed on the web or on the internet or on.
On your personal social media?
It could be on your personal social media. There are definitely going to be some pro and cons about that, but I think that the discussion would be good. And if the police have it, you might want to consider it for the rest of the city as well. It doesn't mean you have to adopt it, but just discussing it.
Would you forward what the police have to us?
Yes, you'll have that. You'll have the analysis from a legal standpoint as well, and you may or may not have a draft of the policy as opposed to pointers, considerations.
With the revisions of the stalking, I understand the language revisions. Has there been any cause for concern in the last year regarding stalking?
No, it was more in the area of menacing. And that's not to say that stalking isn't still a prevalent activity that ought to be enforced if it's exaggerated. So everyone in there from law enforcement thought that needed reworking.
Okay.
Some of the ordinances suggested by Councilperson Albrecht will be considered as being repealed. So those offenses will go by the board. We are going to keep one, and that's regarding bicycles from the standpoint, because there, and this is something that's important. I didn't realize this. we're not going to have any criminal activity on that, but we're trying to be sure that bicycles are somehow reported so they can be registered here. Because it really is important when bicycles are recovered, if they're registered, then we know who the owner is. But I found out that there are 60 bicycles that the police currently have that there's no registration. So they don't know who to
Well, we
get.
need a marketing program because we do offer bike licenses at, I think it's $2
Yeah.
for a bike license, and that would record the owner of a
Right,
bicycle.
and I
So
think
we need
that
a marketing program for that.
You do, and I think that's a part of the discussion when these ordinances come forward in that regard.
Maybe that's something we do at the same time we do the recycle day over at the DPW.
We could do that. That's a good idea. We, in the past requested that to happen at the farmer's market, but my understanding is that was staffing, but it could be a clerical person to
Right.
register
Right.
that. Kind of like a mobile
Right.
clerical unit.
Exactly. Volunteer the city attorney for that.
Perfect. What Sunday do you want? Pick a Sunday.
Whatever.
Anything else?
I have nothing else.
City managers report.
I do have a couple items. I'm happy to report I do finally have 5 businesses that are going to be a part of our pilot recycling for commercial recycling. A couple others that are interested that we'll try and add as well. So that should start. Jeff McKean, the general manager, has been in contact with the 5. He's back in town tomorrow. I'll see him at our monthly board meeting and make sure that he stays on top of that and they get what they need. Other item I wanted to mention is I received mine at home, so I know the assessment notices went out with home values, taxable values. It gives in there an estimate of increase in taxes. What it does is just takes the millage from last year, and if the millage remained the same, it's an approximate increase in taxes. The taxable value went up 0.9% on average. One thing I find it's hard to understand. I'm not going to pretend to understand it myself, but when homes sell and the value is uncapped and the individual that buys that home gets a large increase in their taxes, I think everyone assumes the city gets and the schools get all that money. It gets spread out as a savings across the entire area, technically the entire city. So the reason last year we didn't receive much increase in taxes, even though values went up slightly, assessed values went way up, I think double digits, and again this year, is because of the Headley rollback in combination with Proposal A. So it's a benefit to the residents, but I think a lot of people think if we sell a lot of homes, we get more tax revenue, and we really don't. What happens is the inflationary barrier kicks in, and Headley kicks in the formula, and we have to roll back our millage. So the good news is values continue to rise. I think somebody gave me something that showed Clawson was in the top 10 in the country for time of homes on the market, least amount of time. So there were 3 communities in Michigan and nationally, and Clawson was the 10th. So homes here are selling. Tax rates are high here. I can't pretend that they're not. They are, but it's from debt mainly, but it's debt that we've put to good use. And there'll be more debt coming, but the good thing is we are putting it to good use, and we're fortunate here that the people in this community support what we do and what we ask for. And I think it's a good thing because, as a council, you keep your promises, and I think as workers, consultants, we do the same. So wanted to mention, too, on the assessment notice, there's information on the March border review. If you do want to contest your taxes, you can set up a border review appointment, call the number on there. There's 3 dates, I believe, set up already, and if they get a demand beyond that, they can add an additional date. So I just wanted to mention those are out, and if you don't receive notice, I would say within a week, you can contact the treasurer's office, and they can get your notice to you. That's all I have.
I want to add on to what you said about the housing market, and I did receive the information from our city clerk from Realtor Magazine. To determine the healthiest housing markets in the country, Smart Asset took into account factors like the percentage of homeowners with negative equity, the average time a for-sale home spends on the market, affordability as a monthly cost of owning a home, and as a percentage of household income in each county and city, among other factors. So, number one city was in Kentucky, then Texas, Ohio, Missouri, Michigan, Jenison, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Forest Hills, Michigan, Washington, Hawaii, and number 10, Clawson, Michigan, out of the country. So that was that was good news. Nice to hear.
And I'm sorry I didn't credit Michelle. I knew it was in my inbox, but I didn't know who gave it to me.
So is there any update on the resident complaint from December about heavy equipment on their street?
I think John just got a letter, and that is going to be addressed by code and the city attorney. So we just got a follow-up letter, so that will be addressed.
Did anything happen in January regarding that letter?
I'm not aware that anything happened. I'm not aware.
Anything else?
And then I'll follow up as well. We did have the resident who had an issue with the sewer line warranty. I'll follow up with Paula this week to see if she'd heard back from them. They said they were working on it, and I had hoped within a couple of weeks she would hear something from them. But I'll follow up with her this week and see if she's heard back.
Thank you. On to new business. Youth Assistance is proud to sponsor Safety Town again this summer, so registration is beginning now for Safety Town. It's a program for children who will be entering kindergarten or first grade in the fall, held at Clawson Middle School cafeteria. Children will learn about safety in many different situations, including electrical safety, fire safety, water safety, and many others. The program is June 19th through the 23rd, and the second week is June 26th through June 30th from 9 to 11 a.m. The class fee is $100 for Clawson residents, and you can register in the preschool office or at Hunter Community Center. An upcoming item next week is a spaghetti dinner to benefit the Whitby family. The spaghetti dinner is February 16th, 4 to 8 p.m. at Grace Church, 700 East Elmwood. $10 per adult. Children under 5 are free. This is another community effort to honor our city clerk's sister who died unexpectedly, so the spaghetti dinner will benefit the family. So I'm hoping you'll be able to come. And we are now taking registrations for the state of the city, state of the school, state of the chamber, and a volunteer award ceremony for Wednesday, March 15th, 8 a.m. here at City Hall. Space is limited. We're a small city. We're a small city hall. So if you'd like to attend the breakfast, contact the chamber. There is a $20 fee, which includes the breakfast. And another event upcoming is March 4th. It's the Jimmy Marvin Spring into Life benefit. $30 includes food, refreshments, live entertainment, 50-50 raffles, silent auction, door prizes. All of the money goes towards scholarships for our Clawson kids. The different piece about this scholarship is when a student is awarded the scholarship, it's renewable for the next 4 years. So Jimmy Marvin was a beloved student who graduated from Clawson High School in 2002, died in 2004, and maintained an upbeat attitude throughout his time with cancer. Doesn't look like I'm going in any order, because before that we have our Fire and Ice with Spice Festival, Saturday, February 18th from 11 to 4. We host this in the southeast municipal parking lot. Look for the big white tents. The tents will be heated. Ice carving demonstrations, chili cook-off, and any monies raised from the chili cook-offs will go to the schools. Last thing I'd like to announce is that the DIA Inside Out program is coming to Clawson in April 10th through July 10th. So 3 months we'll be able to enjoy 10 art reproductions. The reproductions will be at City Hall, Blair Memorial Library, Hunter Community Center, Clawson City Park, and other businesses in the surrounding area. It won't mention the businesses yet, although the businesses have been approached about this. They still need to sign an agreement to allow the reproductions on site. We submitted about 50 business names, and we were awarded 10 total, which I think is marvelous, because the most the DIA awards to any city is 12. So a city our size with 10 reproductions, we're very grateful for them. Okay, anybody else?
I know we still have snow coming. I hate to say that word. Everybody still, please do what the DPW asks you to do. If we got a snow day, get your cars off the street. And tell your snow plowers, do not, I repeat, do not take the snow and go across the street with it, because it leaves an icy mess when it freezes, and we're going to start ticketing you for it. So all the guys that are snow plowing, please take that into consideration, please.
All right, thank you. Then the floor is open for public discussion. So any of our public would like to make any comments at the microphone, we'd be happy to hear them. All right, the floor is closed for public discussion. One last thing to do.
Madam Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Albrecht?
Yes.
Councilmember Woolley?
Yes.
Mayor Lubes?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.